Hey there fellow gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of Isekai Feast Tales of Recipes. If you've been playing EU game titles, you know that character variety is off the charts, right? With events, summons, and all those exciting in-game activities, it's easy to end up with a bunch of duplicates. But don't sweat it. I'm here to help you navigate through this colorful cast of characters so you can decide who's worth your time and resources. In this video, we'll be going through our definitive tier list for Isekai Feast, breaking down the characters and sharing tips on which ones you should invest in. Trust me, this is a game where picking the right heroes can really make or break your experience. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's uncover the best of the best in Isekai Feast. Ready? Let's jump in. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking characters in Isekai Feast Tales of Recipes. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Bernard Munich Beer, Simon Silver Needle, and Hario Mexican Chili. Alright, let's dive into the wonderful world of Isekai Feast and chat about some characters who, let's just say, didn't quite make the cut. We've got our D tier characters here, and while they might not be the stars of the show, they still have their quirks. So grab a snack, maybe a slice of that delicious virtual pie, and let's dig in. First up is Bernard, our Munich beer tank. Now, he's got some serious durability, and he can even taunt those pesky enemy front lines. But here's the kicker. When you compare him to Alexander, it's like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. Sure, Bernard can soak up damage, but in the grand scheme of things, he's just not bringing enough to the table. If you're looking for someone to hold the line, you might want to look elsewhere. Next on our list is Simon, the Silver Needle backline assassin. Now, don't get me wrong, Simon has some flashy skills, like being able to prevent revives, which is pretty cool. But there's a catch. He relies heavily on RNG, which can be about as reliable as trying to catch a greased pig at a county fair. When you really need him to shine, he might just decide to flop instead. Honestly, he's better off as a side dish than the main course. Think of him as food for your stronger characters. Finally, we have Hario, the Mexican chili character, who can attack just about anyone on the field. Sounds great, right? Well, not quite. Since he can't really focus on any one target, he often ends up wasting a lot of his potential. It's like having a Swiss Army knife, but only using the corkscrew. If you upgrade him to 9S, you can at least use him as fodder for someone better, which is pretty much his only claim to fame. So there you have it. Our D tier characters who might not be cutting it in Isekai Feast, but hey, they're still part of the game's quirky charm. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Robert Uncle Sausage, Sammy Kushali, Asan Chishali, Midori Celery Lily, Sargon Fugu Lord, Elisa Lafitte, Sislafi, and Ember Bluefin Tuna. Alright, let's dive into the not so glorious world of C tier characters in Isekai Feast. If you've ever felt like your team could use a little, shall we say, spice, then you're in for a treat. Grab your snacks and let's chat about these characters who, while they might not be the stars of the show, still bring something to the table, just maybe not the main course. First up, we have Robert, also known as Uncle Sausage. Now, Robert is an interesting fellow. He relies on the kind of luck that would make even a casino goer jealous. Seriously, if he drops below 50% health and doesn't pull off a one-shot kill, he's pretty much dead weight. So, if you're hoping for consistent performance, you might want to keep Robert on the bench until you can guarantee a good roll of the dice. It's like playing a game of roulette, but instead of chips, you're betting your victory. Next on our list is Sammy, or as some like to call her, Kushali. She's like that friend who always shows up to the party with snacks. Great for one-shot compositions. However, don't count on her for long, drawn-out battles. Sammy is perfect for those quick bursts of damage, but if your strategy leans more toward endurance, she might just leave you in the dust. Think of her as the sugar rush that hits you hard but fades away faster than you can say Isekai. Then we have Midori, aka Celery Lily. Now Midori can apply some handy debuffs like anti-heal and armor break, but honestly, there are just better options out there. If you're in the early to mid game, he might still be a decent choice, but as you push further, it's like he's trying to keep up with a race car on a tricycle. Not exactly the star player you want on your team when things get serious. Sargon, the Fugu Lord, struts in as a solid early game tank. He's the type of guy who you can easily get dupes of, and he does a decent job of protecting your heavy hitters. But as we progress, you'll find that other tanks can really overshadow him. Think of Sargon as that reliable friend who's great for the initial adventure but starts to fall behind when the stakes get higher. Finally, we have Elisa, affectionately known as La Fille. Elisa can bring the heat with her increased crit and damage against burned or scorched targets. If you can set things up just right, she can really shine, until you hit the late game, that is. Beyond a certain point, her effectiveness seems to dwindle, especially once your team starts reaching over 2 million CP, so while she's got potential, she's really best enjoyed before things get too intense. And there you have it, the C-tier characters of Isekai Feast. Not the worst, but definitely not the best. Remember, every character has their time to shine, but sometimes it's just not in the spotlight. Keep these quirky units in mind as you build your team, and who knows, they might just surprise you, or not. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hiroko Abalone Soup, William Iberian Ham, Thomas Steak Warrior, Frankie French Snail, Misha Ice Soda, Victoria Starry Cake, and Dinah Milanese Pasta. Alright, let's dive into the deliciously quirky world of Isekai Feast. Today we're exploring some of the B-tier characters. These characters might not steal the spotlight, but they've got their own flavors that can add a unique twist to your team. So grab your virtual chopsticks and let's dig in. First up, we have Hiroko, the Abalone Soup Queen. Hiroko is a single target DPS with some serious firepower, but she has a long downtime that can leave her feeling a bit underwhelming. If you can't set her up for a one-shot, she might just sit back and watch the show. Pair her with some backline attackers to keep the momentum going, and if you've got dupes of better divine units, consider using her as a tasty ingredient instead. Next, let's talk about William, who brings us Iberian Ham. As a divine unit, you might expect a lot more from him, but sadly, he doesn't quite deliver. He's decent as a DPS, especially with some support, but I can't see him making waves in late game comps. If you're hoping for a solid performance, you might need to look elsewhere for your culinary champions. Now, on to Thomas, the Steak Warrior. This guy is an absolute beast in the front line, especially when facing off against bosses. He's got the tankiness you want, but let's be real, there are other characters like Alexander and Chiyomi who do the tanking job even better. Still, if you're in a pinch, Thomas can hold his own and dish out some serious damage. Speaking of damage, meet Frankie, the French Snail. Frankie shines in melee-heavy matchups, but once the competition heats up and CP scores soar, he can fall short against some of the flashier characters. If you're facing a lot of melee opponents, he can be a solid choice, but you might want to keep an eye on your roster for stronger contenders as you progress. Next up is Misha, our icy Anya star. Her standout ability is the slow effect that can't be dispelled, which means she can help you strike first and potentially take out enemies before they even get a chance to react. However, her effectiveness seems to wane outside of PvP, where she might not be as impactful. If you're in competitive play, Misha could be your secret weapon. Last but not least, we have Victoria, the Starry Cake. She packs a punch as a DPS, but her utility is where she falls short. While she can be a great addition early in the game, it's wise to keep an eye out for stronger replacements as you advance. If you can find a character with more versatile utility, it might be time to let Victoria take a back seat. So there you have it, our B-tier characters from Isekai Feast. Each has their quirks and strengths, so mix and match to find the best combos for your playstyle. Happy feasting! The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Aurora Sea Swallow, Yui Cappuccino, Luna Margarita, Lilia Red Velvet, Sky Butter Hot Pot, Shirley Saffron, Avril Blue Hawaii, and Elaine Lotus Soup. Absolutely, let's dive into the vibrant world of Isekai Feast characters. If you're looking to build a solid team that balances offense and defense, you'll definitely want to consider some A-tier characters. These heroes pack a punch and can make a real difference in your battles. So, grab a snack, and let's dig into these tasty character choices. First up is Aurora, also known as Sea Swallow. She's your go-to for silencing those pesky enemy DPS characters, which is crucial when you're up against teams like Shiro's. Although she shines in the early to mid game, she's not going to carry you through the late game phases. Think of her as a stepping stone. Getting her to 9 stars is a smart move, allowing you to enjoy her benefits before using her as food for stronger characters later on. Then we have Yui, the Cappuccino Queen. With her armor-breaking abilities, she can effectively counter teams stacked with tanks. But it's not just about damage. Yui brings healing and buffs to the table, making her a fantastic support option. She'll keep your team going strong while ensuring your enemies are feeling the heat. Trust me, you don't want to overlook this character in your lineup. Now, let's talk about Luna, or as I like to call her, the early game powerhouse. This margarita-wielding wonder boasts incredible DPS that can be easily enhanced with her dupes. Luna is not just good, she's a game changer, especially at the start. Focusing on leveling her up will help you steamroll through early challenges and set you up for later success. She's like the cherry on top of your Isekai Sundae. Next is Lilia, the Red Velvet Sorceress. While she isn't absolutely necessary for your team, having her can turn the tide during tricky matchups. She excels at countering both support and DPS characters, making her a valuable asset when you need a little extra flexibility in your strategy. Plus, who doesn't want a character named after a delicious dessert, right? Moving on to Sky, our butter hot pot hero. He's a frontline anti-tank unit that specializes in dealing scorch damage while keeping himself healed. Early on, his self-sufficiency can feel like a godsend, but as you progress, you might find he doesn't hold up as well against tougher foes. Still, his ability to soak damage and dish it out makes him a solid pick for a balanced team. Finally, we can't forget about Shirley, the saffron star of any full fire squad. Her single target DPS is top notch, and she buffs her allies' scorch and burn damage, which is crucial for maximizing your team's overall damage output. Plus, she has a unique ability that lets her go berserk when her health drops below 60%. This makes her a powerhouse in intense battles where every second counts. And let's not skip over Avril, the blue Hawaii debuffer. She's an F2P gem with skills to anti-heal, anti-resurrect, and freeze enemies. However, as you climb the ranks, you might want to swap her out for a more powerful DA unit. So there you have it. These A-tier characters in Isekai Feast are not just delicious choices for your team, they're also incredibly fun to play with. With the right mix of these characters, you'll be well on your way to dominating the battlefield. Happy feasting, and may your battles be ever in your favor. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Yumiko Gingerbread, Annabelle Tom Yum, Nami Shrimp Princess, Ukyo Bamboo Shogun, Natasha Soulspring, Yurei Blizzard, Jack Roast Duck, Alexander King Crab, Oscar Mr. Lobster, and Medusa Ms. Curry. Alright folks, let's dive into the wonderful world of Isekai Feast and talk about some of the best S-tier characters that can really spice up your gameplay. If you've been wondering which characters to invest in, I've got you covered. Buckle up, because these characters are not just powerful, they're also a blast to play. First up, we have Yumiko, the gingerbread powerhouse. Yumiko is like the ultimate team player. She buffs all divine allies while simultaneously debuffing the enemy frontline. Plus, she's a solid AoE DPS, which makes her incredibly valuable in battles. Sure, she's a bit tough to get your hands on, but once you do, she'll make your team a force to be reckoned with. Trust me, you won't regret adding her to your roster. Next on the list is Annabelle, the Tom Yum support who's pretty much OP for a non-DA character. This girl can heal allies on critical hits and increases the damage enemies take, which is super handy in tougher fights. And let's not forget her ability to dispel buffs on enemies. With Annabelle in your team, you'll feel like you've got a secret weapon in your pocket. Seriously, she's a game changer. Now, let's talk about Nami, the Shrimp Princess. This gal is a must-have for prolonged fights and bosses due to her incredible damage increase passive. If you're looking for a non-DA support who really shines, Nami is your girl. She can turn the tide of battle with her buffs, making her one of the best choices in the game. Just imagine the combo potential when paired with characters like Yumiko and Annabelle. Pure magic. Moving on, we can't overlook Ukyo, the Bamboo Shogun. He's an anti-backline character who can silence enemies, which makes him one of the best non-DA DPS characters out there. If you're up against pesky backline enemies, Ukyo is the guy you want on your side. His ability to disrupt the enemy team is invaluable, especially in high-stakes situations. He'll have the enemy sweating in no time. Then we have Natasha, the Soulspring Revival Specialist. Natasha can not only revive and buff your allies, but also apply debuffs to your foes. The best part? She's relatively easy to obtain. With Natasha on your team, you'll feel like you've unlocked a hidden gem. She brings so much utility to the table, and her ability to support your squad while keeping enemies in check makes her feel almost overpowered. Finally, let's chat about Yurei, the Blizzard single target DPS. If you're focusing on bosses or PvP, Yurei should definitely be on your radar. He excels in those situations and is a fantastic choice for F2P players looking for a solid early game character. Pair him up with characters like Yumiko or Natasha, and you've got a winning strategy. Trust me, your opponents won't know what hit them. So there you have it, some of the best S-tier characters in Isekai Feast. Whether you're new to the game or a seasoned pro, these characters can help elevate your gameplay and give you that edge in battles. Happy feasting, and may your battles be ever in your favor. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Haruki Dragon Candy, Himiko Culinary Feast, Shiro Cat Poop Coffee, Keizen Shark Sashimi, Chloe Death Choco, Chihiro Golden Dream, Miyuki Macaron, Chiyome Sea Mirage, Neko Black Witch, Brett Sardine Warrior, Nohimi White Truffle, Elizabeth Bloody Mary, Mia and Yuri Twin Saints, Namisa Dreamy Soup, Yoshiko Bird's Nest, Alice Blue Cheese, Raven Met Crab, Yamato Takimaki, Michi White Cabbage, Kuromi Pineapple Bun, and Kasuga Bun Heroine. Alright fellow adventurers, let's dive right into the world of Isekai Feast and explore the S+ tier characters that are dominating the battlefield. Trust me, these heroes are not just good, they're game changers. First up, we have Haruki, the formidable tank known for his ability to sword damage among teammates while also healing himself. Imagine having a shield that can heal and withstand attacks. Talk about overpowered. His once per fight invincibility is a game changer in PvP battles. He's like your best friend who always has your back, making him a must-have for any team. Then we have Himiko, the queen of AoE damage. If you want to rack up those damage numbers, Himiko is your go-to gal. She consistently scores the highest damage in regular 6v6 modes. But be warned, getting her requires either some serious luck or a big wallet, so prepare to grind or invest. Next on our list is Shiro, the absolute beast of DPS. With her team-wide AoE attacks and focus on low HP targets, she pairs perfectly with assassins like the Bamboo Shogunin. She's that friend who always knows how to take down the enemy when they least expect it. Definitely a character you want to keep in your roster. Speaking of single target destruction, meet Keizen, the ultimate nuke. If you're looking to wipe out enemy damage dealers with style, look no further. He's essential for late game strategies, making opponents wish they had invested in a better defense. Now, let's talk about Chloe, who specializes in executing low HP enemies. She's a burst comp dream in both PvP and PvE. Plus, she's easy to get started with, thanks to dupes being available from various sources. It's like having a reliable assassin who never misses their target. Just what you need for clutch plays. Don't sleep on Chihiro though. She's a DPS powerhouse who can ignore DF and assist allies with shock. Pair her with Neko for some serious synergy and watch the enemy crumble under pressure. Chihiro is your ultimate endgame goal, and once you get her, you'll wonder how you ever played without her. On the support front, we can't overlook Miyuki. She's the embodiment of pure support, reviving teammates, healing, and applying damage reduction. She's the perfect wall in PvP comps, ensuring your team can withstand the toughest fights. Trust me, having her in your corner feels like having a guardian angel. Speaking of guardians, Chiyome is another fantastic ally to have on your team. She excels at applying curse and stunning enemies, making her one of the best endgame tanks. It's like having a ninja on your side, ready to disrupt the enemy's plans at a moment's notice. And let's not forget about Nico, who brings self-res and an amazing Devour Mark debuff to the table. If you've got allies like Chihiro, who can attack frequently, Nico's skills can be devastating. She's that silent killer you didn't know you needed, always lurking in the shadows. Rounding out our S+ tier list is Brett, who shines brightest in PvP. Once he dips below 50% HP, he becomes a powerhouse with heals, damage boosts, and no cooldowns. He's not too shabby in PvE either, but leveling him up can be tricky if you're playing free to play. Keep your eyes peeled for dupes. So there you have it, the stellar lineup of S+ tier characters in Isekai Feast. Each one brings something unique to the table, ensuring that you have a well-rounded team capable of tackling any challenge. Who are you excited to add to your roster? Let me know in the comments below. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.